Hello, I'm Francisco Arce, Vice President of Academic Affairs at El Camino College. I'd like to welcome you to our program, Strategies for Success. Today we're going to be focusing on athletics and kinesiology instruction. And I have two professors here with me who are also coaches, Ms. Lavelle Pattison and Mr. Nate Fernley. Ms. Pattison is a volleyball coach and Mr. Fernley is a baseball coach. And we're going to be talking about what it takes to be a successful student and also an athlete. So let me start. Who would like to perhaps tell me what is the benefit or what are the benefits of becoming a student athlete at El Camino College?
Some of the benefits for the students, they have a great time. They usually have a great college experience. The classes are smaller. The benefit of them being an athlete, they're introduced to a high level of competition. We have all the things that they offer at a university, a strength and conditioning coach, academic advisors. We have places for them to get tutoring if they need a little help, and we give them what it takes to get through and go on to where they want to go.
You know, I feel too, when it comes to athletics, a lot of the student athletes that come here love athletics. It's what they're about. And so when we talk about coming to El Camino, we don't necessarily have to sell the sport themselves because that's what they're passionate about. Now it's come to El Camino because we're special. And some of those things that Lavelle mentioned are special. We have a strength and conditioning coach athletically. Not only that, our facilities are good and getting great as far as the new bond that's passed with the athletic facilities. And we offer not only a great education because our school is outstanding as far as comparable to junior college and transfer rates, but those resources to get a good education. The great thing about being a coach at El Camino is that we can offer the athletics and the great education, combine that together, makes it a special environment.
What advice do you give your new students when they start? Because as far as I'm concerned, being an athlete is a huge commitment, time-wise and the energy it takes and physically, everything about it is very demanding. And they have to balance this with being good students because they must maintain a minimum GPA. So how do you keep the students focused on being great athletes, excellent athletes, good team workers, and also being excellent students?
I think the way you phrase that is probably the best way to, when they come in, we never talk about minimums, and I don't know about Lavelle, but minimum GPAs, all of those things don't matter. We're talking about how do you become excellent. Again, they have a passion usually for the sport. Now, we bring them in and give them a plan. Here's what you're going to have to do to be able to prepare for the next level, a 4-year university, and for an education. And with that comes an education plan. This is what's going to be required for you. You need to pass 4 or 5 academic classes a semester and a summer class while doing this. And here's the time commitment. Now, on top of that, you're also going to have to commit 3 to 4 hours a day to practicing your sport, competitions. Are you ready for that? Because this isn't a place where now they're going to call your mom if you're absent. You are now responsible for yourself. And it's a challenge. The exciting thing is that you see these young students come in ready for the challenge of what it takes to be a great student and a great athlete together. And it teaches them how to manage their time, to become better, and to become disciplined. The first semester, it's a culture shock. It's a change, and we try to prepare them for that. But the reward is the 4th semester when they've accomplished those things and have put in the time. And now they are responsible individuals rather than, oh, I have a dream of doing this. They know that they can do that. It's one of the great things about being a junior college.
Excellent answer, Nate. The first semester is a culture shock, and they finally have the freedom to pick their classes and maybe not have classes at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. or maybe not have classes on Friday, and they have to learn how to manage that time. And we just really work on being consistent in class and knowing your priority needs to be class, practice, and then whatever else your responsibilities are. But it's a balancing act the first semester for sure, and then they get the hang of it.
Do you believe that, well, I am sure you're going to say yes, but do you believe that most new athletes that make the decision to try to become athletes on your teams, is that a good educational decision for them, given the time commitment that it takes?
I think it is a good decision for a lot of kids. Some kids don't make it, and some kids it's overwhelming. But with all the things we help them with, they're usually much more successful. They're successful because they know they're being monitored a little bit more. They're successful because they've had somebody to meet with the counselors. They don't wait to meet with the counselors, and they have a plan. Usually they're a little more successful, and then that gives them a sense of, okay, this is the right place for me, and I'm ready to be all in.
What kind of support services do you provide for the student athletes to improve their learning opportunities?
You know, we take advantage of what the college has to offer, which is we're really lucky to be athletic coaches at El Camino because the college provides so many services for them. There's counseling that is provided for all students, but specifically here at El Camino, there's a couple that are earmarked just to know what the needs of transferring for a student athlete is, because it is a little more stringent to transfer as a student athlete than it is as a student. We've had players that have been accepted to four-year colleges but not met the requirements to be a student because you have to have not only an AA but a strict compliance of 60% of your degree coming out. So get them the counseling. Resources. We have a great student learning resource center that is outstanding, and not only that, there's a program put in place to help athletes that can't necessarily get there in traditional tutoring hours to receive the tutoring they need in order to be successful in classes. The question always is with student athletes, how am I going to be successful? El Camino isn't an answer of if you're going to be successful. It will provide you on the how. And if we take them to these counseling resources, taking the Student Learning Resource Center, the engaged faculty, if they want and have the desire to be at the college and put in the time, there is no doubt they'll be successful. And as a coach, I think that's one of the most reassuring things we have. It's not about a matter of if we're a good coach. It's come to El Camino, be part of this community, and if you desire it, you'll get there.
We pride ourselves on a high transfer rate and high retention. To do that, we have skilled coaches that help them progress through their academic world. We want them to transfer. That's our overall goal, is getting on to the next level, whether it be continuing their athletic competition or just deciding to go academically to the next level. We want to open up that opportunity to them.
What do you think the best services that we provide for student athletes are at El Camino College?
Oh gosh, we have many, and they've grown in the past few years. We have a certified athletic training group that takes care of all their medical. We have a strength and conditioning coach, probably one of the only full-time strength and conditioning coaches in the community college level that I could find. But on top of that, we have library services that work in conjunction with our athletic coaches to provide them counseling, tutoring, and all of the access to extra academic needs that they'll have. I think we've got, it's not just one thing, it's the package that we're able to offer.
When a student athlete starts at El Camino College, what kind of direction do they get from the athletics program?
Well, they get some outstanding recruiting from our coaches, which is obviously they're ambassadors for what we do. They're in the high schools, so they're telling them about all of our programs even before the student steps on campus here. But once they get here, they have meetings with the coaches, the athletic director, and they lay out what our student learning outcomes are, what we expect of our students when they leave our program. They're key to us, and we advertise those things. We want them to be academically prepared, and we want them to academically succeed. We want them to acquire more skill in the classroom and on the field. And then we want them to be citizens. We want them to be good citizens on campus. And they all know this. And then as the athletic director instills some of these things in them as they go through campus, they also meet our athletic trainers, our strength and conditioning coach, and they meet our counselors and our tutors. And all of those help create the ingredients that it takes for a student athlete to be successful.
And what do we do to ensure that student athletes will be successful students?
Well, our athletic director, who'll probably speak to it, we have recruiting logs, we have tutoring logs. We try to identify those at-risk student athletes so that we can get them remediation even prior to them having issues. We try to get them set into math and English that is at the appropriate level, or get them some tutoring and counseling to help them even boost that level so that they can get out of here even quicker. So we try to, I guess the main thing is working with our counselors and our athletic director in some type of early warning system. We want to know where they're at and what skills they're good at and what they need help with.
How do you create an academic program for student athletes that is balanced and ensures that the student athletes will be successful students?
Well, I think the most significant piece is we think it's an instructional piece. We don't necessarily, I don't anyway, perceive it as an athletic piece. It's an instructional piece that embraces the entire culture of the campus. Now, within that culture of the campus, we do have this subculture called athletics. So it gives us a specialization, and they have a little bit different focus maybe than the other 15, 18,000 students that are here on campus, because they have a direction. I think you and I have talked in the past, and I'm all about what's next for the community college student. Having been a graduate myself, next is significantly important, and what we do in that culture to create an environment to do the best we can for those student athletes collectively, from the vice presidents to the presidents to the deans to the support staff, to create a culture of success for them. I think that's kind of our direction, and each and every day that's what we try and do.
And the students, how do we get them to remain disciplined and focused on this wonderful goal that you established?
Excuse me. Well, I think we try and do it in a partnership. In a partnership that we share what's going on in our programs with our administrators. We have an extremely supportive dean, someone that I get to dialogue with all the time. Myself, as well as every coach, has a background in the journey, what it takes to be a student athlete. And the discipline comes from the consistency. You know, I think some people, we use the word engagement a lot. We try and engage with our students. When I meet with every team and we do the student handbooks, I tell them I'm kind of an all-in AD. You know, my background's a coach, and I'm not sitting in an office telling people what to do with the sport coat on. I'm there, they see me. I make one request of them that I think is inclusive, is I ask them to be respectful, and I ask our coaches to be professional. I think it's a simple formula. It's a 1+1. The students get it, our coaches get it, so whatever training that they have, from the 3C2A to coaches' handbooks to documentation to statewide testing they do annually, and then our engagement with our students, it's made to be an easy formula for most to digest, understand, and compute. We have a diverse population on our campus. We have a diverse population in our teams. We try and share that people come from different opinions. I always tell them, hey, I know all of you are different, because you've been given different fingerprints. And so you have different DNA, and we have to recognize that. And so, but part of your responsibility is to make the place a better place. That's opinion, comma. They always don't necessarily agree with that, and sometimes it takes longer for others to understand that. But it's really that concept of what you do for others is way more significant than what you do for yourself. And I think we try and sell that. I think our coaches do a great job of camaraderie. I think athletics is a wonderful microcosm of what's next, where a plethora of people come together for a certain amount of time during the day, different backgrounds, different cultures, different DNA, different resources. They come here and they unify for a common goal for an extended period of time, and then they disperse. That's similar to what we do on a regular basis. You know, we come together in El Camino, go fight, win like a warrior. The entire seconds we're here, and then we don't necessarily hang out all the time or we recreate, but we might go some places together, but we have different opinions and likes and pleasures and recreation. So I think it creates the reality of what's next for them professionally. It's just a wonderful microcosm that I haven't seen, and of course I'm biased a little bit, that develops those kind of innate things.
What new major facilities are either under construction or scheduled to be built during the next 5 or 6 years?
Well, I mean, that's the real exciting part of what's going on right now. We have phase 1 of our stadium and instructional complex going on right now, where we'll have some new track and field facilities and instructional facilities with a community walking track, which is something that we haven't had before. Will be top of the line. It'll be a synthetic turf. Then we'll move into phase 2, which will be the new facility for what is now Murdoch Stadium. And it will be a tri-sport complex and instructional area where we'll be able to house track and field, which used to have a dirt track. We'll now have an as track, it's called, pour-on surface. Then we're going to be able to house soccer and football all in the same facility on a synthetic field. So that's just a real exciting time as we move forward in the next few years. In the future, all of the facilities in physical education and kinesiology will be replaced. New gymnasiums for volleyball and basketball, a new fitness center, not only for our students, but for our staff, faculty, and community. They'll all be able to partake in this new fitness center. We like to preach lifelong health and fitness, and this is a great way to do it. A new pool, a 50-meter pool, potentially. And then all the classrooms and offices and other instructional areas that go along with a comprehensive physical education and kinesiology program. It's a real exciting time.
You mentioned earlier about some of the steps you make students or require students to go through, and you mentioned the orientation, the assessment, and the educational plan. All athletes have to have these 3 steps completed to be an athlete?
Yes.
Yes, all of them. Before they actually compete, they have to have an educational plan on file. They have met with a counselor, and they have to be in a certain number of units and maintain those units throughout the semester.
How many units are they required to take per term?
They're required to take 12 overall. 9 of those have to be academic. And again, those would be the minimums. But in order to reach your goals, there's the bar that has to be set. And that's, you're going to take 4 academic classes along with the baseball classes or the volleyball, the athletic classes, and then conditioning with that. So it's going to be a fairly big schedule in order to transfer. And that's really what we're about. It's not about playing the sport here. It is about getting prepared to transfer from this college to go on to another college or an occupation now that you're prepared for in order to be successful.
And do we have good data that shows that our student athletes transfer?
Absolutely. We athletics here at El Camino and those that participate in athletics have a higher transfer rate than those that don't. And speaking only for our program, I don't know if La Valley has the numbers, but in the last 4 years we've had a 95% transfer rate from the baseball program. So you give them something they're passionate about.
Did I just hear 95%?
95%, which is fairly good. Now, some of those that transferred aren't playing baseball, but they got the education to go transfer to the university or the college, and that's what we're here for. At some point, you're going to take the uniform off, whether that's 4-year school, professionally, and you have to be prepared for that day.
What about some of the other sports that either one of you don't coach? What is that like?
I think all the coaches here really are preparing the student athletes to be a student. And if they choose to compete, then they get that opportunity. But not everybody's, it's tough. The farther you go on, the competition's better, and not everybody can be an athlete. So as long as we are helping them to be successful students and have them be qualified to go on, that says a lot about what we're doing.
So it's conceivable that a student could be a very good athlete at El Camino College and a very good student and become transfer eligible, transfer to a university of their choice, and then get there and realize this is a whole different level of competition and decide not to play, but they're still a university
Right.
student.
I've had a lot of kids just this last year go to Santa Barbara, go to UCLA, and at that point, they might not be an elite athlete, and it's going to be tough for them to play. But their goal was to go on to go to a great school, and they've met that goal. And they probably could have gone and still played at a different university, but education was important to them, and they got in, and I think that's great.
Do you have any examples of recent students who followed your formula and were successful?
I think there's countless. I mean, if you go just through rosters of last year, you know, we have Cole Trezick, he's playing baseball at LMU, and Bryce Savage is playing baseball at LMU. Our center fielders at Chico State. We have a couple people in Tennessee playing at Georgetown College in Tennessee. The numbers are bountiful as far as students transferring over. And then you have the ones that don't. We had a student a couple years ago that transferred to the University of Oregon, didn't play there, like LaValle said, you know, wanted the education, and now is doing sports marketing for Fox News in LA, and is working in the industry, and still stops by because he's local and talks to our guys about how this prepared him for that career. So athletics is taking, again, that passion, but it's not necessarily preparing them to be an athlete. It's preparing them to be a better individual, and how they define that comes as they find out who they are.
Mm-hmm. And that also raises, you sort of touched on this at a couple different junctures here today, but we don't often think of athletics majors and preparation in the major leading to career opportunities. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about that. But we haven't talked a lot about the women and how they do.
Women do great. I think last year had 6 transfers, possibilities. 5 went on to university. I think 1 student has to make up some classes here.
If that's the volleyball team, right?
And then 3 are playing. So if they chose to play, then we help them find the right place. And if they're going to school, then they're finding the right place to go to school.
But in terms of career opportunities?
We see a lot of the athletes continue in that field. Some go into athletic training, some go into teaching, some go into coaching. It makes me proud when I see some of my players in the coaching profession and carrying on with some of the things they learned at El Camino. But some choose a whole different field. We have people in business. We have people, I have one kid that wanted to be that's playing for me right now, and she wants to be a neurosurgeon. So that's pretty impressive. She impresses me every day.
And how about your teams?
Yeah, and you know, really, I think that there's this, you come and you're an athlete, which is true, but athlete is only part of the program that we're in. We're in a kinesiology program, which is one of the most expanding majors across the nation right now. And just in the news, you pick up the paper and you see that the LA Dodgers are now negotiating with a company for $8 billion for the TV rights for 25 years. That opens up a lot of avenues to jobs within that market. And the passion may be sports, may not be playing sports, but being involved in the business side of that, or the PR part of that, or the marketing part of that. And as we expand our kinesiology major, we're hoping to expand our curriculum to have those classes that will then lead them to, I'm going to be a sports marketing major at X university. And those are the type of things that they get into. Taking that passion of loving sports, may not be an athlete, but taking that, you can make a career out of whatever you see fit.
And how do we inspire students in athletic programs to adopt strong ethics? This is obviously very controversial in the world of sports.
We hold them to a pretty high standard here. And I think that when they see their behavior as positive and the results as some great times on the court and some productive class hours, then they see the rewards and they hold themselves to those standards. And I think they start to expect a lot from themselves, and they're proud of what they're doing, and they're proud of their team and their team members, and they hold each other accountable to a little higher level also.
You know, athletics is an avenue where it forces you to look outward. You know, we have 28 to 35 guys on a baseball team, and when we write out a lineup, there's going to be 9 in the starting lineup. The majority of the team will not be in that starting lineup. And now they have to think, what is my goal? Is my goal that I've come here to only play, or have I come here to be part of something special? And when you talk about ethics, business ethics, ethics in athletics, I think the more you look outward, the more you're apt to be ethical. And so it's training, because now you're taking actually something that's disappointing to you. I wanted to play, and now you're training. Where's my character revealed here? Am I someone who looks out, or am I someone who looks in? The poor me, or is it, okay, we've worked hard with these guys, and we're gonna be part of something special. So whenever you get passion and put it in a ground to testing ground, you see ethics and character come out. And now you as a coach can work with that. Here's what happened. Here's how the reaction was. How could we have reacted better? Forget the win-loss, but how could we reacted better as a group? And I think that would lead to understanding how my character provides ethics to others.
Great. How do you inspire your athletes, your students? What do you do?
Vision. And we hear this in everything we're in. And us as faculty, what's our vision? Where are we going? If you don't have anywhere to go, you'll never get there. And so you give them a vision. The wonderful thing about coaching is, like we talked about, they want to be competitive for the most part. And so you give them the vision. Here's where we want to go. And if you do it the right way, then you're incorporating kind of what your last question was about. How do I get to this vision by doing things the right way, without shortcuts? Managing people, understanding people, personalities. And if you keep the vision there, then it ends up being progress. And there's a quote where work without vision is drudgery, and vision without work is daydreaming. And we talk about that a lot. If you have the vision, it's never going to be drudgery. But if you don't have the work, it's daydreaming. And hopefully, the programs in athletics provide them an opportunity to have a vision, be motivated, and then give them an avenue to work towards that.
Great. Anything else you'd like to add?
That was good. Another good answer, Nate. We like to come in and be happy, and we're excited about what we're doing. We're happy to be here. We get new kids every year. Community college, they're in. Hopefully, get them on the right path, and they're out. So they have a lot of energy, and they bring a lot of passion, and they're happy to be here. So we sometimes need that energy because we've been here a while. But we try to be happy and excited about what we're doing, and we see great improvements every day, so it's an exciting time.
Well, thank you very much. You've both been very informative, and I can see the passion and the excitement about these athletes. It's really terrific to have people like you working with these student athletes.
Thank you, and
I
thank you for your
appreciate
support
time today.
Yeah.
That brings us to the conclusion of our interview today. I hope that you have found the information useful, and certainly that as you're talking with your child, or if you are a student who is thinking about community college, an athlete who is thinking about community college, that you will be inspired to learn more about what El Camino has to offer students.